everyone, it's Maria from Still Dreaming Homestead, and it is a nice day to be inside. It's sprinkling, the wind's blowing, so it's pretty cold, and I thought this would be a good time to go ahead and read Chapter 5 from our book, City Bears Adventures. A film company is coming. Wonder what that means exactly. Well, let's find out. DJ sighed quietly. Whoops, mine was loud. I'll try again. DJ sighed quietly with relief when he saw a strange car parked in the driveway behind Paul Stagg's old sedan. Remember, that's what they used to call a family car. Dad swore viciously and stopped at the curb, his headlights on the new vehicle. "He's got company," Dad exploded. "Don't recognize the car," DJ said. "Brand new. Got some kind of sign on the side." "Take the flashlight and run and see what it says." "Oh, Dad, couldn't we just go home?" Dad roared into a long string of angry words that burnt the boy's ears. Even though he'd been hearing them as long as he could remember, the violent temper in the words always made DJ draw back. Quickly, he jumped out of the pickup, ran in the headlights to the vehicle, and shined Dad's 5-cell flashlight on the sign painted on the front of the passenger side. DJ hurried back to the pickup and climbed into the high cab. So, some cars are fairly low to the ground. This pickup was pretty high up. It says Quality Film Productions Corporation. I think that's the movie company that made some of the pictures Mom took me to at church last year. Dad ran his strong brown right hand over his chin. Why would they be here? Maybe they're going to shoot a movie. I've heard about other companies shooting near here. Even if they were, why would they be stopped at Paul Stagg's house? I don't know, DJ admitted. But if they do shoot a movie here, do you suppose I could get a part? I've heard about that. They're called extras. And sometimes the Chamber of Commerce in the Indian Springs helps find local people for those movies. If they do, could I? Dad interrupted. Somebody's coming out. Paul Stagg's body filled the doorway. He held the screen open while a well-dressed man in a lightweight summer suit stepped onto the porch. The man was almost handsome, DJ thought. Mrs. Stagg followed the man onto the porch. A moment later, Kathy stepped outside. DJ whispered, "Are we going to leave, Dad?" "Can't figure who that fellow is or what he's doing here," Dad said. His voice was calm. The anger, a little bit there, but mostly had given way to curiosity. Oh, DJ said. "Here comes Paul." The boy hoped Dad would put the pickup into reverse and back out. But he waited. In a moment, the giant of a man had walked past the headlights and was leaning forward to peer in the driver's side of the pickup. "I'm still half blinded by your headlights," the big man rumbled pleasantly. "But I do believe I recognize the Dillon family." "You got that right," Dad said. His voice was still calm. "Sam, welcome." The lay preacher stuck out his right hand and took Dad's. DJ was glad to see that too. Glad. Boy, I'm really messing up. "DJ, glad to see you too." "Well, now what brings you two here?" DJ held his breath. But Dad stayed calm. "Nothing that won't keep," Dad said. "I see you got company." "Get out and meet him," Paul rumbled pleasantly. That's Jay Calkins, and he's scouting for locations to shoot a family-type film next spring. In a moment, Dad was shaking hands with the filmmaker. Mr. Calkins also reached out his right hand and shook DJ's. Let's shake. Say, young man, you look like the type who'd like to have a small part in a family film, am I right? DJ gulped and nodded. Sure would. Well, this young lady here, Kathy, is it? Yes, Kathy. Well, she's going to do a walk-on too. While we won't be shooting until next spring, if you talk to Mr. Stagg here, I'm pretty sure something can be arranged. Mr. Stagg's going to be our contact man since I worked with him some years ago when we had a shoot on location near where he used to live. So a shoot would be where they were filming a movie. The man spoke very rapidly, the words flowing through a smile that never seemed to fade. DJ had always had a little suspicious feeling about movie makers, but he liked Mr. Calkins. Maybe it was because he made movies that could be shown in churches. Suddenly, DJ had an idea. Mr. Calkins, could my bear have a part in your movie? The man had started to talk to Dad and the other adults, but he stopped and bent and looked straight in the boy's eyes. You got a bear? A cub. But he's real smart and can learn any trick or do anything by the time you're ready to make your movie. DJ felt excitement flowing through him like a hot chocolate on a wintry night. Well, now, that's very interesting, DJ. Very interesting. You see, this movie is about a man who loves children and animals, especially bears. We've already contracted for a bear through the man who owns the animal. But maybe we can work out something so your cub can appear in the background shot or something. Paul, the man continued, straightening again to look up at the tall lay preacher, remind me of this conversation when we return for the shoot. The rest of the summer rushed by so fast DJ could hardly believe it. The tall sugar pines developed cones high on the branches where they perched, openly tempting the squirrels. The squirrels get the little pine nuts out of them. Wild sweet pea vines produced pale pink and white blossoms that clung to the open spots of ground away from the sugar pines and closer to the ponderosas. Fawns, that's a baby deer, born with spots which helped them hide from their enemies, slowly turned a solid, soft brown like their mothers. Crested jays screamed at real and imaginary dangers as their eggs were laid, hatched, and the young birds began trying their wings. The days were warm and the nights were brisk for sleeping, so kind of cool. DJ had only two problems. The first was Nels Abbas, who never gave up his claim on the bear cub. Twice in town, the older boy saw DJ and the cub and tried to take the cub away. You stole my bear, Nels said the first time. I want him back. He's not your bear. He's mine and you better give him back. Right now. Nels reached out suddenly and jerked the cub's lead chain from DJ's hand. The older boy yanked so hard on the chain that the bear's neck was stretched. The cub squealed and swatted at Nels' pant legs, ripping it. Hey, you cut that out. I'll take a club to you. The incident ended when Paul Stagg came out of the barber shop and spoke sternly to the older boy. Nels made a nasty remark and left, threatening to get DJ and the cub next time they were alone. DJ didn't really like to go to Stony Ridge with Father anymore, but when they were buying groceries one Saturday afternoon, DJ carried a box to the pickup. It was too hot to leave the cub in the cab, so DJ had tied Coco to a light post. 2 town dogs rushed up to sniff the bear. Instantly, he turned and swatted both of them so hard they yelped and ran off with their tails tucked. DJ recognized one hound as the Abbess. By the time DJ had put the box of groceries in the pickup, Nels came running down the street. "You kicked my dog, DJ Dillon." "I didn't touch your dog. I saw his shoulder. He's cut up from where you kicked him." "I didn't come near your dog." Nels hesitated, his eyes lighting on the bear. The cub was looking at him and making little huffing sounds. Huh, huh, huh. It was just a baby. DJ had never heard Coco do that. Nels' eyes narrowed. "It was your bear then." "Yeah, that's it. You sicked that bear on him. And that's my bear. Hand him over." "Now, Nels, you know I can't do that." "Why not?" "Because he's my cub, that's why." "That's not the real reason. I heard about the movie man saying he needed a bear for this picture next spring, and you're fixing to make money off my cub." "That's not what the man said. And beside," Tinsley Abbess, Nels' father, came out of the little company garage 2 doors down and yelled, "Nels, the pickup's fixed. Let's go." DJ watched the older boy leave, knowing that sooner or later there was going to be real trouble over the cub. DJ remembered how he saved Nels' life when the outlaw bear, old Satchelfoot, caught Nels at the Mad River in Devil's Slide Canyon. But it didn't seem to mean anything to Nels. DJ told Alfred one day, "I'm never going to give up Coco to Nels. He'll hurt him. But I don't know what to do." "We'll work it out," Alfred said. "That's what my folks are always saying to me. It'll work out." "I hope so," DJ said fervently. DJ's second problem was more personal. He still hadn't been able to tell his dad about the decision he'd made in the tree with that old Satchelfoot trying to get him. To make a Christian commitment had been so easy, but to give witness, as Paul Stagg put it, was the hardest thing DJ had ever tried to do. Sometimes DJ and Grandpa read the Bible together, but never when Dad was home. DJ managed to read his mother's Bible every day when he went out to his favorite ponderosa tree. That was where he usually tried to write stories to practice being an author. However, the boy felt he was sneaky in his Bible reading, as though he was ashamed of it. He wasn't, but he just didn't have the courage to speak up about his faith. It began to give him a guilty conscience. "Sometimes I think God will get me for that," DJ told Alfred one day when they were fishing for rainbow trout in the ditch that carried the town's drinking water down from the high mountains. "Oh, I love rainbow trout." Alfred couldn't remember when he wasn't a Christian. "Mom says God doesn't get you for things when you're trying to do right." "Well, I'm trying hard, but it's bothering me a whole lot about not telling my dad. Mom used to try to talk to him about Jesus all the time, and Dad always got mad. He's liable to thump me pretty good if he thinks I've done something he doesn't like." "You'll tell him," Alfred said, reeling in a 15-inch fighting rainbow. Whoa, that'd be like that long. That's a good size. DJ wasn't sure. He continued to read the Bible under the tree for 2 years. He had been trying to write short stories with his lead pencil. Sometimes he went to Sunday school and church when somebody stopped by to give him a ride. He thought about talking to Paul Stagg about his being afraid to witness to people. But grown-ups were always crowded around the preacher at church, and DJ never got to see him alone. Dad was mad all the time. Sometimes DJ heard him cussing the preacher for making Hannah Higgins turn him down. Oh, he had asked her to marry him. But Dad hadn't said anything more about getting even with Paul Stagg. Dad was also mad because the mill strike seemed to be more and more certain, and that would throw him out of work as a choker setter. But it hadn't happened yet. During the summer, DJ and Alfred explored the mountains, the creeks, the ditches, and everything else they could find. DJ always took the cub and the little hair-pulling bear dog along. Hero, the dog, always stayed close to the boy's side. Alfred usually got to lead Coco by his chain. DJ recognized something was happening to Alfred, but he didn't know what it was until one day he was at Alfred's home. Mrs. Milford handed DJ 2 sack lunches while they stood at the top of the steep stairs waiting for Alfred. She said, "DJ, I've been wanting to thank you for letting my boy lead that bear so often when you boys are out fooling around." "It's nothing, Mrs. Milford. I've got my dog, and it's too hard to keep the chains from getting tangled if one person tries to lead both animals. Whatever the reason, you're making my Alfred into a different boy. Have you noticed? He's always been shy, but he's different around that bear. He speaks right up to people, Mrs. Milford. Fact is, he goes up to them when we meet somebody on the trail and shows them the bear." "That's what I mean, DJ. Alfred wasn't like that until he met you, and I doubt he'd be like that unless the cub was along." DJ remembered the first time they'd taken the cub down the hill to the little store. The minute Alfred had taken the cub's chain, he wanted to show off that bear. Mrs. Milford went on, "Why, when he was too young to go to school, he used to hide behind my skirts whenever anybody came by. Of course, we lived way in the back country off the road, and people rarely visited. Sort of like me, I guess. We live so far out, there's not even a real driveway to our place." Mrs. Milford was looking up at the yew tree, but DJ didn't think she was seeing it. She was remembering. Alfred was so shy. When he finally started school, he cried for days. In fact, he carried on until we thought for a while he'd never adjust. When he finally did, he was not very sociable, and the kids were sometimes cruel to him. That's partly because he has to wear those glasses. "Well, he's doing fine now," DJ assured her. "I know, but I hope it continues when school opens. We'll be best friends in school, same as this summer. But the bear won't be with you in school, and I'm not sure what that will do to my boy. But everything will turn out all right, I'm sure." The remaining weeks of summer, the cub gained weight so fast, DJ figured Coco would be near 100 pounds by spring when the movie was made. That is getting pretty heavy. The cubs slept at the foot of DJ's rollaway bed in the kitchen until Coco developed a midnight hunger. DJ was half asleep the first night he heard the cub jump down from the bed and pad over to the low cupboard near the sink where Grandpa kept his canned goods. The boy was already fully asleep again when he heard a crash. DJ jumped out of bed. In the pale moonlight through the window, he saw Coco holding a big can of peaches. DJ knew that's what they were by the fragrance. He could smell them. The cub's strong foreclaws had ripped the can open. He held the can between both forepaws and tipped the sweet fruit halves into his open mouth. Pretty smart bear. "No, Coco, no," DJ whispered as firmly as he could, hoping not to waken Dad or Grandpa. But Dad was already running across the faded linoleum floor from his bedroom. He snapped on the light and exploded at the mess. "That bear," Dad thundered, "that bear's getting too big to roam loose. Put him on a chain or keep him outside with the hounds." "Oh, Dad, he didn't mean to do any harm. I said, chain that bear or else put him outside. Then you clean up that mess. If the bear starts doing things like that, you'll have to get rid of him." DJ stopped dead still. Dad's words went right through the boy like a pain. Until that moment, he'd not realized how much he'd come to care about the fast-growing cub. But there was no doubt in the boy's mind either. If the cub got into too much trouble, Dad would make DJ get rid of his pet. It only took a few days before Coco got into a real disaster. Uh-oh. That's going to be in Chapter 6, Uninvited Picnic Guest. Oh, that doesn't sound very good. So, I hope you enjoyed the story today, and I will be back again tomorrow to read Chapter 6. So, have a good day or a good night, whichever time you're watching this. And remember, I love you and God loves you the most. All right, good night. God bless you.